Welcome to this week's Woody versus Gorney Week 2 picks. An exciting, a huge slate of games, Gorney. We're going to jump right into them because we have so many to look at on the season. Real quick, update our records. I'm 20-10. What a clip.
Wow.
And you are 16-14. The rough Saturday and rough Sunday and Monday killed you.
Yeah.
Let's jump into them. The first game we're going with Kentucky at Florida. Florida all the way up to number 12 after being unranked. Now a 6-point favorite at home against the Wildcats. Who you like, Gorney?
Yeah, this is one of those games where you say, "Hey, Florida's good this year." You know, they beat Utah, a tough Utah team. They had that goal line stand at the end. Everything's looking good. I kind of believe it. I think Florida's good. I think they want to play for Billy Napier. I think Billy Napier is one of the better coaches in the country. Has this team prepared. I definitely still like Kentucky. But Kentucky's a basketball school there, Woody, and Florida is not. So I am taking the Gators to continue this ride. I don't think they get taken out after that big win over Utah. I think they build upon that. I'll take the Gators here in a close one.
Yeah, I'm actually going to take Kentucky to cover. I don't know if they pull it out, but you mentioned that game was razor thin margin last week. Utah's a good team. Kentucky started a little slow. I was a little nervous against Miami of Ohio when I was looking at the score there. They got it going. I do think Anthony Richardson's the X factor. I mentioned it last week that if he had a crazy game, he could carry them, and he did. And he did carry them with that touchdown pass he had was amazing. So he's going to be fun to watch, but I like Kentucky to keep it close. I think this one could come down to like a field goal at the end or something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and take Kentucky to cover. Next up, one of the games of the week, Alabama at Texas. Texas getting 3 touchdowns at home. What a number.
All right. So last week I took Oregon, and that was a complete disaster of a pick. I'm going to take Texas here, and until the bill collector comes and the bank shuts down my house, 92% of all the picks and all the money is on Alabama, and that can't be because the number is not moving. It's not going to 24, 25. It's staying at 20.5. Vegas wants you to take Alabama, which means take Texas. This is a 42-24 kind of finish. Texas under the wire. Comfortable Alabama win. I'll take Texas.
The one thing we'll find out how much Coach Saban likes Coach Sark because if you remember pre 2019, Saban would never run up the score on anyone.
Yeah.
Post 2019. Now go look at some of the scores. He puts up some huge numbers. I'm going to take Alabama, and you know what I'm going to advocate for those at home. Alabama first half. I think it's at 11 right now. Alabama first half, can't beat it, but I'm taking Alabama to cover that spread. I do think Texas puts up a little bit of a fight, though. I think they might be able to score a few points, but I see a couple of picks out of Quinn Ewers. He's still learning his way, and we heard about him throwing picks in practice too. So I think Alabama's going to get a few there. Next up, sneaky good game. Pittsburgh hosting Tennessee, picking 6 points at home. Gorney, what's going on?
Yeah, Pitt's getting 6 points at home. Home as in, that's where the Steelers play. So I believe in this Tennessee team. I think they're going to be very good. I don't think Pitt's going to be able to stay with scoring the points. This is not West Virginia coming in here, which was a very tight game as well. I think this Tennessee team is good, an SEC team focused on the road in a tough environment against a tough team that's not going to lay down for you. But I'll take Tennessee by 10.
So I waffled back and forth on this one because I write down my picks before we start. Then I remembered, I got to thinking, well, Pitt beat Tennessee last year, right? Well, what happened the year before that? Pitt beat UCF. It ended their win streak. It was at Pitt, and Josh Heupel and this entire staff was the coaching staff. So guess what? 6 points. I still think the Vols win, but you're going to give me 6 points at home in the whatever the Heinz Field is called now.
Former Heinz Field.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Panthers but I could see it could be a blowout. I mean, it could be Tennessee gets that offense rolling and they can't be stopped. But I just 6 points at home for a team that's ranked higher. I like the Panthers. Next up, Baylor at BYU. This is like the nightcap. This one's gonna keep us up past midnight here on the East Coast. BYU a 3-point home favorite, so they're basically saying it's even, Gorney.
Yeah, and I think this line is based a lot on what Baylor was last year, not exactly this year. I kind of like BYU here. That is an incredibly tough environment to play in. The place gets super loud, crazy. Teams have gone in there and have lost, a lot better teams than Baylor. I'm going to take BYU in this game, although I might regret it because I do love Dave Aranda and what he's building at Baylor. But I'm going to take BYU -3.
Yeah, going up to the altitude, I love the altitude, Gorney. So
Yeah,
give me BYU. Like you said, they're basically Vegas thinks these two teams are even. I just think it's really hard to go up there and win. It's going to be so rocking at night. The scenery is amazing there. So give me BYU. Number 10 USC going to Stanford. Kind of an early season for this type of Pac-12 matchup. Stanford 8.5-point underdog at home.
yeah. This is one where the entire public is on USC, and most of the money is on Stanford. I don't know. I don't know how good this Stanford team is. USC, laid it on Rice last weekend. It was not even a question. Usually USC comes out in those games and looks terrible for like 2 quarters, and then their talent just takes over. I think this USC team is pretty good. And, from Caleb Williams to all those receivers to 15 running backs to a defense that actually looks like it might want to play for once and have a pulse under Alex Grinch. I know the public is all over USC in this game, and it looks like a trap. It looks like a 31-24 USC win. I'm still going to take USC here and probably regret it Saturday evening, but I'm going with the Trojans.
Yeah, if this were October, no question in my mind, I would take Stanford. I just think Stanford looked pretty shaky last week, and I think USC it's tough to go play there, but the stadium's going to be half empty, and the fans that are there are probably going to be USC fans. So, give me USC. Washington State at Wisconsin, kind of an interesting matchup. This one's slipping a little bit under the radar. Wisconsin 17.5-point home favorites against Wazoo.
Yeah, this is another game where the public is completely on Wisconsin, but the money's on Washington State. And I think it's just too many points. I think Wisconsin's going to win the game. They're the better team, but they're not an explosive offense. So if Washington State can put up 10, 14 points, that means Wisconsin's going to have to get above 31. I don't remember the last time in a Power 5 football game that Wisconsin did that. I'm in the mind of Paul Chryst here. I know what he's thinking. He's thinking Washington State's a bunch of Pac-12 punks going to come in there and he's going to run the ball all game long right down their throat, which is exactly what's going to happen. But that means the clock is going to bleed out. This is going to be a 31-17 kind of game. Wisconsin wins, but I think Washington State will cover this game.
Yeah, I actually agree with you on that one. I'm going to take Washington State. They looked very poor last week with this new offense and their highly touted quarterback, the best FCS quarterback in the history of the world. He did not look great. But guess what? That doesn't mean I'm not going to take him. So you said 17.5 points too much. Washington State's got their fair share of big bodies on the D line, so I think they would welcome that rushing attack. And like you said, they bleed the clock. I think Wisconsin wins, but I think it's that the hook there is tough for me to get over.
Yeah.
Arizona State at Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State a 12.5-point favorite.
Now this is another interesting game because for some reason, again, the public loves Oklahoma State, but the money loves Arizona State. I don't get it. I think Oklahoma State is very, very good this year. I know you're going to say you can't trust Spencer Sanders, but man, this looks like another sucker bet, but I definitely like Oklahoma State in this game. Arizona State's entire program is a little bit of a mess. No one knows what's going on, what's happening. I don't know if they have the depth to stay with Oklahoma State all game. I'm going to take the Cowboys here at home.
Yeah, I'm actually going to agree with you. I don't think people realize the amount of losses that Arizona State had, and Oklahoma State can score. I think they're going to put up a lot of points, and I just don't like this matchup. So give me the Pokes there as well. Number 25, Houston at Texas Tech. Texas Tech a 3.5-point home favorite.
Yeah, this is a game this is one of those games that I'm weirdly interested in, and I'm probably going to watch the entire thing. There was a great tweet this week about Dana Holgerson celebrating last week's big win over UTSA with a vodka soda, and then he liked it. So gotta love Holgerson. I think this is a game, again, this is one of the games where the public is on Texas Tech, the money's on Houston, and I'm following the money here. I think Houston goes into Lubbock. It's going to be a great environment, but I think that's going to motivate them even more to go in there and win. I'm going to take Houston plus the points. I'll take Houston on the money line, actually, to win outright.
Oh, wow. Boy, bold pick. I watched intently Houston and UTSA. UTSA was one of my locks of the week that goes to triple overtime. The overtime rules are insane right now. You're telling me we're worried about player safety. We can add 7 games to the college football playoff, but we can't do 3 more downs in overtime? Get out of here. That the 2-point conversion rule, that's got to be changed. I'm going to start stumping for that now because it shows that you should just go for 2 at the end of regulation. LSU should have just gone for 2 because the game's going to be decided by 2-point conversions in the second overtime. So
yeah.
Anyway, long rant. Give me Texas Tech. I just don't think Houston. I think Houston shouldn't even be in the top 20. I have no idea how they're in the top 25 and UCF isn't. But that'll be rectified after Flyville is down. Well, I guess this will have already happened by the time most people watch this. But anyway, you get the idea. So give me Texas Tech. Arkansas State at Ohio State. Ohio State a 44.5-point favorite.
Part of me thinks that Ohio State is the pick here. And the reason is because last week they wanted to muscle Notre Dame. They wanted to show how physical they were, this, that, whatever else. And everybody goes, what the hell? Where's the passing attack? Where's Stroud hitting Igbuka and Harrison and all these other guys deep? And they didn't have that. And so now you're off the chain a little bit and you can kind of unleash it and get that out of your system. Whenever the spread is this high, it feels like it's too high, but it's probably not high enough, which means I'll take Ohio State 52-0. But I'm not going to bet this game if I were to ever bet a game, which I wouldn't, of course, because it's illegal in California. But I'm taking Ohio State here because that offense wants to put up big numbers. They weren't able to last weekend, and Arkansas State has no prayer.
Hey, you gave Butch Jones 44.5 points.
I know he has a lot of 5-star hearts on that team.
Yeah, I'm going to back him every time. Give me Arkansas State. Backdoor cover there. Southern Miss at number 15, Miami. Miami climbing up the charts, a 25-point favorite at home.
Yeah, that's a lot of points too. And Southern Miss is actually not a horrible team this year. They beat Liberty last weekend, but this is not the same Malik Willis Liberty team. I'm going to take Miami. I think Mario has that thing rolling. I think the players are kind of loose and want to play and want to score and want to have fun and be the Miami of old. It's a lot of points because Southern Miss is not horrible. But I'm going to take Miami here minus 25 at home.
I'm going to take Southern Miss. Frank Gore Jr. should be playing for Miami. We knew that at the time in high school. They passed on him. I bet Cristobal wouldn't have passed on him if he were the coach. But I have a feeling that Miami's going to ground and pound here, and I think that eats up the clock. The weird number at 25 too. I don't like that. So I'm going to take Southern Miss with the cover, maybe even at 24 points. South Carolina going to number 16, Arkansas. Arkansas 8-point home favorite.
Yeah, this is going to be one of those interesting games too. It's an early game, which I'm going to be watching Alabama, Texas, to be honest with you, but maybe flipping to South Carolina, Arkansas. I think Arkansas coming off that win last week against Cincinnati really has built that team up. Not only is Cincinnati a very good team, well coached, but Arkansas really proved that they can kind of come back and battle back, be battle tested. I don't know how good South Carolina really is. We'll see. I mean, on the road, that place is going to be fired up early on. Spencer Rattler definitely keeps the Gamecocks in the game. I'm going to actually take Arkansas here. 8, I don't like the number. I don't know what goes on here. 31-21 Arkansas. I'll take the Hogs.
Yeah, I'm riding Arkansas. I liked them last week. I like them this week to cover that spread. I don't care if it's a weird number. South Carolina is not very good, and you're going to Arkansas. Number 23, Wake at Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt getting 12.5 points at home.
Yeah, this is one where when Sam Hartman was medically cleared to come back, makes it a whole lot more interesting. 12.5 is a lot of points. Vanderbilt's 2-0, but I don't know. They played maybe the 2 worst teams in college football history. Hartman is back. I'm taking the Demon Deacons minus 12.5. That number doesn't scare me at all.
Yeah, I like Wake Forest as well. I remember when I was a kid, Pacific coming to play Oregon and losing by a bunch, and then they ended up shutting down their football program. So I would say that they might have been worse than Vandy's first two opponents. Marshall at number 8, Notre Dame. Notre Dame 20.5 favorite.
Yeah, this is a game where just by principle, I have to take the Thundering Herd. 97% of all bets are on Notre Dame right now. And I think it's basically because they looked like pretty competent against Ohio State last week. Now, Notre Dame wins this game, but Marshall is not a horrible team. I could see, a 41-24 kind of game, 31-17, a comfortable Notre Dame win at home. The people on NBC are celebrating, but Marshall at least respects it under 3 touchdowns. Everyone is begging, the Vegas is begging you to take Notre Dame at 20.5. It's a 3 touchdown game, blah, blah, blah. That means Marshall is the pick, especially when 97% of the people are on Notre Dame.
All right, I'm going to take Marshall as well. Former 5-star Kalan LeBourne with 100 yards rushing last week for the Thundering Herd in year 6 of his college career. I know Adam Friedman was watching that one closely, I'm sure. All right, next up, App State at number 6, Texas A&M, 19-point favorite for the Aggies.
Yeah, and they're coming off that big game against North Carolina where they put up points, and that's what scares me is that they're going to be able to put up points. Haynes King looks almost every throw he has looks like it's going to be picked off. It wasn't last weekend against Sam Houston. So 19 scares me, but App State really kind of, they can't stop anybody. Texas A&M can. That front's going to be a problem. I'm going to take the Aggies at home to kind of just outscore them in a big way.
Yeah, weird number. I like App State. I like my guy Chase Bryce, who was being slandered last week on a lot of these picks podcasts. So, and then they lost the game because he overthrew a guy. But that's beside the point. He can still put up numbers. All right, Akron at Michigan State. Michigan State a 34-point favorite.
Yeah, that's a lot of points for Michigan State, but it's not the old Michigan State of Mark D'Antonio. I don't know. Akron's not a very good football team. The money's actually split here. A lot of people coming in on Akron just on that number. It's going to be nice. It's going to be fine. I'll take Michigan State minus 34. They'll probably win 35-0.
Yeah, I'm going to take Akron. I think Michigan State didn't cover last week either. So, and the line was like 22. So, Kent State at Oklahoma. Oklahoma 33.5-point favorite.
Yeah, Kent State's on the road two weekends in a row. They go to Washington, then back to Oklahoma. That's too much. Oklahoma big.
Yeah, I agree with that one. And last but not least, Hawaii at number 4, Michigan, 51.5. It's an insane number.
No, I'm taking Hawaii. Because if they can kick a field goal, that means more than what is that? More than 7 touchdowns. I'm taking Hawaii out of principle. 51.5 is too many points for any team.
Yeah, Harbaugh, too much class to run up the score of 52 points on Timmy Chang and company. So give me Hawaii. I like them there. That wraps up the picks for us. We'll be back with another edition next week. Be sure to check it out on our site, on YouTube, on Twitter, Woody and Gorney. Thanks, Gorney.
See you.